Hey y'all, I'm back and I have another scary story for you guys. This is a continuation of a story I started reading a couple weeks ago, so if you haven't seen part 1, I'll have it linked down below. But this is going to be the finale to My Mom's Dementia is Terrifying. She keeps talking about all the bodies in the basement. Present day. It was just after 10 a.m. when I stepped into her room. The curtains were drawn halfway, letting in that soft, milky light that always made the dust look like snow. My mom was lying on her side, facing the window. Her breathing was slow, shallow, peaceful for once. I sat on the edge of the bed and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. "Hey, Mom," I said gently. She didn't answer. Sometimes she didn't. Other times, the things she said stuck in me like splinters. I reached for the bottle of pills on her nightstand and started sorting out her dosage on the Monday morning compartment. Behind me, I heard her voice, soft, barely audible. "He's still hungry," she mumbled. I froze. Her eyes were still closed. "Who, Mom?" I whispered. "Who's hungry?" She didn't answer, just sighed and curled slightly tighter under her blanket like a child. I left the room with my heart pounding because I know exactly what she meant. 2002. We met in Ty's backyard just past the broken swing set in the plastic kiddie pool full of sand. Everyone was buzzing, tense. We hadn't slept after what we saw. Bradley paced like he was on trial. Alex had her arms crossed tight, jaw set like stone. Josh kept checking his watch even though it wasn't working. Jules hugged herself, eyes darting between the trees. "Where's Cody? He said he was coming too." "He probably overslept." "He's never late," Bradley said. "Not when it's important." Josh waved it off. "He's probably raiding the pantry again. Let's just go." "We should wait," I said. "We shouldn't split up." But the others were already walking. We headed towards town, cutting across the empty lot behind the gas station, past the sun-faded soda machines and the cluster of crows on the power lines that always seemed to be watching. Sheriff Barnes' office was on Main, 2 doors down from the diner and just across from the old movie rental place. His cruiser was out front, lights off. The door creaked when we stepped inside. Sheriff Barnes looked up from behind his desk, eyes tired and lined, like cracked leather. He raised an eyebrow. "What now?" Alex stepped forward, shoulders squared. "We saw it. The thing that's been taking the boys. We saw it near the lake last night." Barnes exhaled slowly. "Alex, I'm not joking. We saw it and we found—" She swallowed. "We found the body. Another kid by the lake." He stared at her for a beat, then leaned back into his chair. "You kids have no idea what kind of trouble this could stir up." "We're telling the truth," I said. "We wouldn't come here unless—" The phone on his desk rang. Barnes picked it up, muttered a few words, then paused. His face went pale. His grip on the receiver tightened. "When?" he asked. Another pause, and then he hung up. He stood slowly. "What's wrong?" Jules asked. The sheriff looked at us. "Cody Mendez," he said. "His mom just called. He never came home last night." The world seemed to tilt between our feet. "No," Bradley whispered. "No, he was just with us." "He said he would meet us," Jules said, voice trembling. Barnes grabbed his hat and keys. "Get home, all of you, now. This isn't a game anymore." But we didn't move, because we already knew what he didn't. It had taken Cody too, and now we were next. We didn't go home. We scattered for show, ducked around the corner, and regrouped behind the Family Dollar. Bradley's eyes were red, fists clenched so tight his knuckles had gone white. "He's not gone," he said. "He's not. Not until we see." "We don't even know where they're looking," Alex said, her voice low. "Sheriff said to go home. He'll just write us off again." "I got the walkies," Ty said, holding up a pair of chunky black radios with duct tape on the sides. "One's on their channel. My brother used to work security, left it behind when he moved. It still works." We all exchanged looks. No one said no. Ty handed one to Josh and clipped the other one to his belt, flicking it on. Static hissed, and then a voice crackled through. "Deputy says they're moving search efforts towards Bridge Quarry. Dogs caught a scent trail." "Quarry," I whispered. My stomach dropped. "That's where they found the shoe," Jules said. "Last week by the fence." We moved fast, cutting through the brush behind the baseball field, then through the drainage tunnel beneath the highway. The summer sun was still heavy, but everything felt darker somehow. By the time we got to the top of the quarry ridge, the police were already there. We crouched low in the trees, hidden in the scrub, hearts hammering. Sheriff Barnes stood near the edge of the water, his arms crossed, lips pressed into a grim line. A couple of deputies were knee-deep in the water, guiding something towards the shore. "No," Bradley whispered. The shape was small, lifeless. A pair of red sneakers we all recognized. Cody. His body was bloated, his arms twisted strangely like he had been thrown or dropped from a height. His face was wrong, bruised, pale. One of the deputies covered it with a towel almost immediately. Jules turned and buried her face in Alex's shoulder, sobbing. Ty dropped the walkie. The static hissed into the silence like a funeral dirge. We stayed there, frozen, watching them pull our friend from the quarry like a forgotten doll. Sheriff Barnes rubbed a hand over his mouth. He looked wrecked, not surprised, just tired, like someone who had known this was coming all along. I felt something splinter inside of me. This wasn't a game. Cody was dead. It was real. It was hunting us, and it wasn't finished. We didn't speak as we walked back through the woods. It wasn't the same silence as before. This one sat heavier, like wet clothes sticking to your skin. Like grief had shape and weight and could follow you home. When we reached the clearing behind Ty's trailer, we stopped. No one moved. Jules stepped forward and turned to face us. Her eyes were puffy, her voice raw. "I can't do this," she whispered. "Cody's dead. You saw him, and we're just kids, okay? We're not detectives. We're not heroes in some movie." Bradley started to say something, but she cut him off. We could be next. No one disagreed, because she wasn't wrong. "We have to figure out what's doing this," I said. "We know it's not an animal. We know something's out there, and Sheriff Barnes won't listen to us. If we don't do something, who's next? Ty? Jules? One of us?" "I'm sorry," Jules said, her voice shaking. "I just want it to stop." Then she turned and walked away, disappearing down the hill towards her house. We didn't follow. Alex looked down at the dirt. I don't blame her. Bradley ran a hand through his hair. "We need a plan." Ty nodded. "Tomorrow, meet at my place, noon." We all agreed, quietly, somberly. It didn't feel brave. It felt desperate. That night, I couldn't sleep. Present day. The attic was hotter than I remembered. I came up here to look for the box of old summer clothes, but got sidetracked by the smell of mothballs and old cardboard. The past has a smell, and up here it clung to everything. And that's when I saw it. An old plastic crate with peeling Ninja Turtle stickers on the side. I opened it without thinking. Inside were relics from a different world. A scratched Spider-Man VHS, a cracked yo-yo, a walkie-talkie with the duct tape still on the antenna, and a folded sheet of red paper. I picked it up slowly. It was faded, creased. My throat tightened as I realized what it was. A flyer. Missing. Cody Sutton. Last seen July 15th, 2002. Age 13. Red sneakers. I stared at it for a long time, and then something under the flyer caught my eye. A Polaroid. It was blurry, the edges browned from age, but there we all were. All of us. Me, Ty, Bradley, Alex, Jules, Josh, and Cody. We were all standing in front of Ty's trailer, Cody's arm around my shoulder, his grin toothy and wide. My chest ached. And then I remembered the next part. The night after the quarry, I couldn't sleep. I had gone out to the back porch to get some air, and that's when I saw it again. The thing, the creature, watching from the trees. Only that time, it waved. Ty's front yard looked like a war room. Spread out bike helmets, empty slushy cups, and a wrinkled road map of Briarwood Lane weighed down with a rock. We had been waiting almost half an hour before anyone said what we were all thinking. "She's not coming," Alex muttered, kicking at a stick. "Jules is just scared," Bradley said. "We all are." "I say we go to her house," I said. "She deserves to say no to our faces." Ty frowned but nodded. "Yeah, let's go." It wasn't far. Everything in Briarwood Lane was within biking distance. The ride was short and quiet. The only sounds, the clicks of gears and tires on gravel. Jules lived in a small blue house near the end of Cedar Ridge, where the street dipped and the trees grew taller. Her older sister, Savannah, answered the door, leaning on the frame like she already knew why we were there. She was 16 and didn't hang out with us, but everyone knew who she was. Varsity cheer, way too cool, and the girl all the boys crushed on, but were too scared to talk to. Except Cody. He used to call her Vanna Banana just to piss her off. Her smile faded when she saw our faces. "I heard," she said softly, "about Cody." Bradley nodded. "We need to talk to Jules." Savannah hesitated, then stepped aside. "She's in her room. Hasn't really come out." The five of us stepped inside. It smelled like hairspray and vanilla lotion, the fan in the hallway humming a soft drone. Savannah led us to the door at the end of the hall and knocked gently. "Jules," she said, "your little friends are here." No answer. "Come on," Savannah said, not unkindly. "They came all this way, and they look like hell." Still silence. "I know you're scared," she added, "but you've always been the brave one. You were the one who climbed the water tower first. You were the one who made me walk you to the Langley place when you were just 10 just to spit on the porch." Something shuffled inside, and the door cracked open. Jules stood there, eyes red, but shoulders squared. "This doesn't mean I want to go," she said, looking at me. "I'm not asking you to," I said, "but I'm asking you to help us stop this for Cody." Jules looked past us, then up at Savannah. "Will you come?" Savannah blinked. "Me?" "You always said I should stop being scared of things that go bump in the night," Jules said. "So let's go see what's making all the noise." Savannah looked surprised, but then she smiled. "Fine," she said, "but I'm not walking through the woods in flip-flops." That night, Mom made spaghetti, the sauce from a jar, noodles that were a little too soft, but I didn't care. We ate on the couch, plates balanced on paper towels instead of real napkins, the TV casting a bluish glow across the room. Back to the Future was on cable, and she quoted every line like it was scripture. "You're gonna see some serious shit," she said with a grin, pointing at the screen just before the DeLorean took off. Classic. I laughed, even though she had said the same thing every time we watched it. After dinner, she ran her fingers through my hair. "You okay?" she asked. I shrugged. "Yeah." She studied me for a moment. "You've been quiet lately." "It's just stuff with the guys. Weird summer. You're 13. It's supposed to be weird. I guess." She nudged me. "Hey, I know this house gets creepy sometimes, especially at night, but you're safe here, all right?" "I know. You promised me something." "Yeah?" "Don't go chasing shadows just because the world feels dark. Not everything strange is worth finding." It was such a weird thing to say at the time. I didn't think much of it, but now I wonder if she already knew something I didn't. The plan was simple: wait until she was asleep, sneak out the back door, and meet the others by the edge of Briarwood Lane. Ty had a flashlight, Josh brought the gloves, and I brought nerves and a stomach full of half-digested spaghetti. We met up under the busted old streetlight at the edge of the woods. "You sure about this?" Alex said. She had her hair tied back and she looked serious, like she was going to war. "I need to see it," I said. "We all do." The Langley house loomed in the distance, half hidden behind tall grass and overgrown trees. Its windows were still boarded up, the paint still peeling. The silence around it so deep it almost hurt to breathe. Savannah, Jules, and Bradley hung back by the fence line, crouched behind some shrubs. "We'll keep watch," Savannah whispered. "Yell if anything happens." The four of us, me, Ty, Josh, and Alex, crept along the side of the house. That's when we saw it. A narrow opening along the bottom of the foundation, just big enough to crawl through. "Think it goes under the whole place?" Ty asked. "Only one way to find out," Alex said, already getting on her hands and knees. Josh groaned. "God, it smells like mildew and rat piss." "Shut up and move," Alex hissed. We crawled one by one under the house, the cold dirt against our palms. Cobwebs clung to our faces, and something skittered past Josh's hand, making him curse under his breath. The beams above our heads were low and rotting, but we kept moving. After what felt like forever, the crawl space opened up into a dark, empty room. The air changed, colder, like something lived here that wasn't supposed to. Ty's flashlight flicked around the space. There was a rusted furnace, a few crumpled beer cans, and something else. Scratches along the floorboards. Deep ones, like someone had been dragged. "I don't like this," Josh whispered. "We're already in," I said. "We might as well keep going." We hadn't even realized it yet. We weren't alone. Inside the Langley house, the air was thick and musty. It smelled like mold, rot, and something else, something sour, metallic, like blood that had dried and gone sticky in the heat. Ty's flashlight cut through the gloom as we stepped out of the crawl space and into what must have been a basement storage room. There was a mattress in the corner, yellowed with age and stained in places I didn't want to think about. Torn clothing was piled nearby, little shirts, socks, a shoe, and a cartoon character printed on the side. A cracked baby monitor sat on a shelf, its red light still flickering faintly. Josh picked something up and turned pale. "Dude, this is a library card. For Trevor Hill." Alex turned her light towards the wall. Guys. Scratched into the wood over and over again were the words, "Make it quiet, make it stop. Make it quiet, make it stop." We were all frozen, breathing heavy, hearts pounding. "I don't think we're alone," I said, and then, creak. We all whipped around. Ty had wandered towards the stairwell. "Ty," Alex whispered, "what are you doing?" He turned back, shrugging. "We gotta know where it goes. Maybe it leads up into the..." A blur, a noise like a shriek and a hiss mashed together. Then Ty was gone, ripped off his feet by something dark and massive at the top of the stairs. He screamed as it dragged him halfway up the steps, flailing. "Ty!" Josh yelled, lunging forward. There was another horrible sound, bones crunching, wood snapping, and then Ty fell, straight over the stairwell railing, landing on a broken beam jutting up from a pile of debris below. He didn't scream again. He just gasped. Shit, he's impaled," I choked out. Josh and I were at his side in seconds. Blood was bubbling from Ty's mouth and his eyes were wide with pain, but he was alive. Alex shined the light up the stairs. The thing was still there, crouched in the shadows. Its eyes glowed faintly, reflecting back like a cat's, but wrong. Too high, too human. "We gotta go now," I shouted. Josh nodded, grabbing Ty's shoulders while I grabbed his legs. He was heavy and slick with blood. We half dragged, half carried him back towards the crawl space, our hearts jackhammering. The creature shrieked again and came pounding down the stairs. Too fast, too loud, limbs hitting the walls like a spider made of meat and nightmares. "Faster!" Alex screamed, holding the flashlight behind us to try and blind it. We shoved Ty through the crawl space first. He groaned, the piece of wood still stuck in his gut. Josh followed, pushing him, then Alex. I was last. I turned back just once, and it was right there, not 5 feet away. Crawling fast, its limbs bending the wrong way, mouth too wide, eyes too dark. I scrambled backwards through the dirt as it slammed into the crawlspace entrance, clawing, snarling, but it was too big to fit. It screamed like it was frustrated, like it knew it had missed its chance. We didn't stop until we were clear of the house, dragging Ty through the brush, all of us bloody and shaking. Savannah and Jules were already running towards us when they saw us burst out from under the porch. "What the hell happened?" Savannah shouted. Alex fell to her knees. It's real, it's real. Bradley ripped off his shirt and pressed it against Ty's wound. "He needs a hospital, now." Jewel was pale, frozen in place. We all were. But none of us could deny it anymore. There was something evil in the Langley place. Present day. My hands were trembling. I hadn't thought about that night in years. Maybe I hadn't let myself. The way Ty screamed, the weight of his body as we dragged him out, the sound of that thing slamming into the crawlspace wall. I closed my eyes for a moment, let the silence settle, let my heart slow down. Then I reached for my laptop and I opened Facebook. The screen lit up, a quiet hum filling the room. I didn't even hesitate. I typed his name. Tyrell Carson. The page loaded. There he was. Profile picture from maybe last year. Older, beard now, heavier. A deep scar just visible along the side of his neck, but still him. Still Ty. My chest tightened. He had a wife, 2 kids, a life. Posts about barbecue Sundays. A little girl in dance class, happy 10 years post from his anniversary. I stared at the screen for a long time before clicking add friend. The request sent. A strange aching calm settled over me. I closed the laptop gently, careful, like I was putting away something fragile. Then I stood, shut off the light, and walked down the hall to my bedroom. Mom was already asleep. I paused at her door, listened to the gentle rhythm of her breathing, and moved on. My bed creaked as I climbed in, the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me. The night outside was thick and quiet, the way it always was when something's waiting just out of sight. I stared up at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "You were the last one, weren't you?" Then I closed my eyes and I let the dark take me. It started with the sound of cicadas. Not soft or distant like usual, but loud, screaming like they were inside of my ears, inside the walls. The night pulsed with them. In the dream, I was back under the house again, knees scraped raw from crawling across splintered wood and dirt. I could see the glow of Ty's flashlight ahead, bouncing with each breath. Then it flickered, went out. Something moved behind me. I turned and the crawl space wasn't a crawl space anymore. It was endless. A long, yawning tunnel of wet, breathing shadows. And from the dark, something with fingers, like antlers and a mouth of teeth too wide, crawled forward. You forgot about me. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. The ceiling fan spun lazily above like it hadn't just watched a monster lean over me in the dark. I sat up, rubbed my face. The house was quiet, too quiet. No humming from the baby monitor I kept near Mom's room. No rustle of her sheets, just that creeping silence. Something in me snapped alert. I got up, walked barefoot down the hallway, the old hardwood cold beneath my feet. Her door was open. Mom? No answer. The bed was empty. Panic hit my chest like a punch. I checked the bathroom, the kitchen, even the backyard. Nothing. Then I saw it. Just down the road, near the tree line, her figure in the pale orange wash of the street lamp. Thin robe clutched tight, barefoot, her gray hair wild like seaweed in the wind. I ran. Mom! She didn't turn. She kept walking, arms outstretched, muttering something too low to make out. I reached her just as she stepped into the gravel shoulder. She screamed. My son's in there. He's in there. It took him. Oh my God, it took my baby. Mom, stop. It's me. She fought me, weakly pushing at my chest, eyes wide and wet with terror. He took him into the dark and pulled him. Mom! I grabbed her face, gently, firmly. Made her look at me. I'm right here, okay? It's me. I'm your son. I'm right here. For a second, she just stared. Then her hands dropped, trembling. Her lips quivered. Oh, sweetheart, she whispered. Her whole body deflating like a balloon losing air. I was so scared, she said, softer now. I heard you calling. I heard you. I nodded, swallowing the knot in my throat. I know, but you're safe now. Let's go home. I wrapped an arm around her and walked her back down the road in the dark. The stars above didn't blink. The wind didn't blow. The night just watched us, quiet and still. And in the silence, the cicadas hummed. 2002. Ty was still in the hospital. We weren't allowed to see him. Something about head trauma, internal bleeding, maybe cracked ribs. No visitors, outside family. We hadn't heard from Jules since that night either. Savannah said their parents were taking them down to the Gulf for a beach trip. They need a break, she told us with a shrug. Like it was just a normal summer getaway, not a way of running away from everything. Now it was just me, Bradley, Josh, and Alex. We met behind the trailers, under the warped basketball hoop, where the net had long since turned to stringy ghosts. Alex was pacing, biting the skin around her thumbnail. She looked rough. None of us had slept much. We have to go back, she said. We dropped something. I dropped something. Bradley blinked. Alex, are you serious? I had my flashlight, my dad's flashlight. He'll kill me if he finds out that I lost it, but that's not the point. The thing. It knows we were there. We have to find out what it is. We have to stop it. Josh shook his head. I'm not going back in that death house, Alex. I saw what it did to Ty. Bradley agreed quietly. Same. Alex let out a frustrated breath. Of course you don't want to go back, but I realized something. It didn't try to kill me. Then everyone shut up. She looked at us, eyes glassy, voice trembling now. That thing, it looked at me, but it didn't try to grab me. It didn't even move, like I wasn't even there. Like it didn't matter. Her voice dipped lower. It only likes boys. None of us knew what to say. Then finally I said it. Okay, we'll help you, just not like last time. We can't all go back in. We made a plan. Alex would go in, grab the flashlight, and look around. Josh would stay outside to keep watch. Bradley and I would stay posted from my bedroom window across the street, walkie-talkies in hand, binoculars ready. It felt like something out of a spy movie, but there was nothing fun about it. We waited until past 10, when the trailer park quieted down and the last porch lights blinked out. Bradley sat beside me, his knees touching mine. My binoculars dug into my palms from how tight I was gripping them. Alex and Josh were little shapes moving across the street like shadows. She's going in, I whispered. Bradley's voice crackled over the walkie. Copy that. Josh is staying put. We watched Alex move around the side of the Langley house, ducking under a crooked board where the crawlspace opening still gaped like a mouth. Bradley was quiet for a moment. You think we're all going to make it through this? He asked. I looked over at him. I don't know. He gave me a small smile. You were really brave that night, you know? I tried to laugh. I just wanted to help Ty. Still, I saw you. He leaned in just a little. I see you. His hand brushed mine, warm, nervous. Then he leaned in closer. Our noses nearly touching. I could feel his breath. I think my heart stopped. Our lips met. Soft, quick, real. I didn't have time to process it because the walkie burst to life. Guys! Alex's voice, panicked, nearly screaming. I scrambled for the button. Alex? It's down here. It's been living down here. There's bones. So many bones. Bradley and I locked eyes. Josh's voice came next, crackling with static. She's screaming. She's not answering me. I think it's in there with her. I dropped the binoculars. We were running. Bradley and I tore out of my trailer, barefoot and stupid, and didn't stop until we hit the Langley yard. Josh met us near the bushes, his face white as the moon. She's inside. I didn't think. I just dropped to my knees and crawled into the space again. Bradley right behind me. Josh shouted for us not to go, but it was too late. The air was colder than it should have been. Damp. It smelled like rot. We crawled until we hit the spot Alex had gone in before, shoved the loose basement door open, and I heard her scream. Alex? We were down the stairs in seconds. And there she was, on the ground, crawling backwards, blood on her elbow, flashlight beam bouncing wildly. The thing stood just feet from her, tall and wrong, like it was built out of parts from other people. It turned towards us, its mouth opening, unhinging like a snake. I grabbed Alex by the arm and pulled her up, and the thing looked at me and licked its lips. Bradley yelled, swinging a metal pipe he had grabbed from outside. It connected, hard, and the creature screeched, staggering back. The three of us ran, half dragging, half carrying each other, up the stairs, back through the crawl space. I could hear it chasing us, scraping, thudding, breathing. But we made it out. We didn't stop running until we were back in my yard, behind the carport. Alex collapsed to her knees, sobbing, raising her dad's flashlight above her head. Bones, she whispered. It's been eating them. I looked at her, then at Bradley, then back towards the dark house that loomed at the end of the street. And I knew. We weren't kids anymore. We were at war. The house was quiet. The old ceiling fan creaked gently above us, stirring the warm air. I sat on the couch, half watching an old rerun of Unsolved Mysteries with the volume turned low. My mom was curled up under a blanket in her recliner. She had had a better day. Some days were better. This one had been almost normal. She looked over at me and smiled. You were always scared of that show when you were little. I chuckled. Only the alien episodes. She pointed at the TV. You made me sleep on the floor beside your bed after that one about the guy who disappeared in the fog. I was 7, Mom. She grinned, eyes crinkling at the corners. For a second, she looked like her old self again, sharp and full of light. You always had a good heart, she said softly, even then. I swallowed, suddenly choked up. You too, I said. Still do. Her smile faltered just a little, like she didn't quite understand. Are you okay, sweetheart? I nodded. Yeah, just tired. She reached for my hand and gave it a small squeeze. Then get some sleep. I'll be right here. I kissed her forehead and helped her to bed, tucking her in under the soft quilt with the cardinals on it. She looked up at me through half-lidded eyes. And don't let him in, okay? She mumbled. I froze. What? But she was already drifting off again, lost to dreams or memories. I turned off the light and went to my room, trying to shake the chill her words had left behind. 2002. The dream came fast and twisted. I was running through the woods, barefoot and bleeding, chased by something I couldn't see but could feel. Its breath on my neck, its footsteps matching mine. The sky was red. The trees had teeth. I turned around and I woke up. My heart was pounding, sweat clung to my neck and chest. The clock read 3:16 a.m. And then I heard it. A floorboard creaked. Not in my room, in the living room. I got up, heart thudding harder than before. My feet touched the cool floorboards. I stepped into the hall and peeked around the corner. Empty. The front door was wide open. I rushed forward. Mom? No answer. Mom? I bust out onto the porch and stopped cold. The night was silent. Too silent. Then something moved at the end of the yard. A tall shape, lurking, watching. I turned to run and opened my mouth to call out again, but something slammed into me from behind. The world spun. I hit the ground, my face scraping pavement. Pain exploded through my ribs. Before I could scream, rough arms, long, wrong, and human, wrapped around me and began dragging me through the dirt, across the dead grass, toward the house across the street, the Langley house. I kicked, I screamed. No one heard me. The basement door creaked open as if welcoming me back, and then the darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up in the dark. The air was thick, damp, and metallic. My skin stuck to cold concrete beneath me. My mouth was dry, my body ached, and for a second, I didn't know where I was. And then I sat up, and panic gripped my throat. I was in the basement. The basement. The Langley house. I looked down. I was only wearing my boxers. My clothes gone. My breath hitched. Hello? My voice cracked. No answer. I stumbled to my feet, knees shaking, arms wrapping around my torso out of instinct. The concrete was freezing. A distant dripping echoed somewhere beyond the reach of the dark. I spotted the basement side door. I rushed to it, fingers fumbling at the handle. Rattle, rattle, rattle. Chained shut. Thick rusted links bolted into the frame. I let out a shaky breath. Shit. Turning, I scanned the room. Shapes in the dark. Piles of old furniture, maybe. Paint cans, a workbench. A shadow that looked too tall to be a shelf. I backed away from it. I had to find light. I crept forward, every step echoing. Near the bench, I found a rusted toolbox. I yanked it open, junk. But next to it, an old lantern, the kind you light with a switch at the base. I clicked it. Nothing. I banged it once, twice, then it flickered to life. The dim yellow light spilled across the basement. My stomach turned. There were claw marks on the walls. Not just scratches, gouges, deep, angry, bloody. A tattered shirt lay in one corner, something written on it in dried black marker. Run. I turned in a slow circle, lantern held out. And then I saw it. A staircase, wooden, rotted, leading up to the first floor. I didn't want to go up there. Every instinct screamed, stay. But I wasn't staying down here, naked and hunted. I tightened my grip on the lantern and I stepped forward. Each creak of the stairs sounded like it might break beneath my weight. Halfway up, the air changed, got colder. I heard something upstairs, a thump, then dragging. Something was waiting, and I had nowhere else to go. I froze on the fourth step, light trembling in my hand. I wanted to cry, to yell for my mom, to pretend this was a dream, but I knew it wasn't. And if I didn't move, I was gonna die down here. So I kept climbing, one slow, shaking step at a time. I crept up the basement stairs, the wood groaning beneath my bare feet. My ribs ached, my head spun, and my wrists throbbed from pulling against the chains. The whole house felt like it was breathing, like the walls were holding something in. The door at the top of the stairs wasn't locked. I opened it slowly, stepped into the hallway. The air was thick and musty, and the house was darker than I remembered. I didn't know how long I'd been down there for. Hours? A full day? In the corner of the living room, I found a box. Dusty, water-warped cardboard. Inside were dozens of Polaroids. Kids from the neighborhood. Posed, afraid. Some smiling, some crying. My stomach turned. Scattered around the floor were little trinkets. A baby shoe, a plastic bracelet, a broken Game Boy cartridge. All of it arranged like trophies. I made my way down the hallway, trembling. One of the bedroom doors was cracked open. I pushed it wider. That's when I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Slow, raspy, wet. Coming from the closet. I couldn't move. And then the door creaked open on its own. Something stepped out. Something wearing skin like a suit, but its face wasn't right. Its smile too wide, its limbs too long. I backed away, but it was fast. The monster in the closet didn't speak. It didn't growl or roar. It just moved. Quick, silent, like it had done this so many times before. He slithered his way across the room and mounted me. He pinned me to the bed, holding me as I fought, and he did things to my body that even God himself had to turn away from. I tried to fight, but he was stronger, inhumanly strong, and I finally blacked out from the pain. My body bounced against the floorboards as it dragged me through the house. I couldn't scream. My throat was raw, my limbs barely responding, my mind floating somewhere above me. All I remember was the sound, the steady thump of my heels catching every third step, and the low grunt of the thing pulling me. And then the basement door groaned open. I tried to fight, to crawl away, but the creature lifted me like I was nothing, and then it threw me. I hit the stairs halfway down, the wind knocked out of me, and tumbled the rest of the way like a rag doll. My back smacked the concrete hard. Something cracked. Maybe a rib. Maybe more. Then darkness. I woke to cold. The basement was black, but not empty. The silence buzzed like cicadas deep in the walls, like whispers that didn't want to be heard. I blinked up at the ceiling. My cheek was pressed to the concrete, my lips sticky with dried blood. Pain throbbed through me. My shoulders screamed every time I tried to push myself up. I managed to roll over, groaning, sucking in the stale air. The smell was unbearable. Rot, mold, something metallic. I wasn't alone. Not entirely. I could feel it. Watching. Waiting. Somewhere behind me a faint click echoed. Chains. I swallowed, forced myself to sit up against the wall. My arms trembled, my legs were scraped raw, but I was alive. Barely. I don't know how long I laid there. Time didn't move right in that place. Eventually the pain dulled enough for me to move. Every joint creaked in protest, but I forced myself up onto my hands and knees. My fingers slid across the dirt-caked concrete, and I found a rotted wooden crate. I pushed it open, nails cracked and old, but inside, under a folded tarp, I found a half-empty box of matches. Thank God. My fingers shook as I struck the first one. The tiny flame sputtered, and for a second everything came into view. Old tools rusting on pegboards, shelves of broken jars, stains that looked too dark to be anything but blood. The light stung my eyes. I blinked fast, shielding the flame from my breath. The match died. I lit another and kept moving. Each step made the air feel heavier. Something about the stillness was wrong, like the basement was holding its breath. That's when I saw the workbench. Old, heavy, the legs swollen from decades of moisture. I don't know what made me move it. Instinct, maybe? Desperation. I gritted my teeth and shoved with my whole body. The bench scraped aside with a groan like a dying animal. Behind it was a small, jagged hole in the wall, like something had clawed through the foundation itself. It looked more like a tunnel than anything human-made. The earth beyond was damp and black and breathing cold air into my skin. I should have turned back, but I didn't. I got on my belly, lit another match, and I crawled in. The tunnel was tight. I could barely move my arms. Roots brushed in my face and dirt filled my mouth when I breathed too deep. The walls pulsed with moisture. I crawled and crawled until the match burned down to my fingertips. I lit another. That's when I saw them. The bodies, piled like discarded toys in a hollow pocket of the cave. Dozens of them. Some were just bones wrapped in torn clothes. Others looked fresher. Glassy eyes, faces frozen mid-scream. All boys. The smell hit me next, so thick and rotten it coated my teeth. I backed up too fast, bumping the wall behind me, the match flickering in my fingers, and then a hand clamped around my ankle. Razor-sharp claws dug into my skin. I screamed. My voice bounced through the tunnel as the thing yanked me backwards. I dropped the matches, clawed at the earth, but it was too strong. I felt myself slide across the cold dirt like a fish on a hook. I screamed again, louder this time, as the tunnel walls flew past my face and I was dragged into the open basement. He threw me across the concrete like I was nothing. My back hit the wall, air gone from my lungs. I gasped, chest rising in ragged jerks as the creature stalked towards me, lumbering, snarling, breathing like a man but moving like an animal. The shadows warped around his figure, flickering in the dying light of a match still smoldering on the floor. I screamed, but it came out hoarse. He grabbed my leg again. No, not this time. I kicked, hard, My foot cracked against his shoulder. He growled, actually growled, and lunged for me. My hand found something in the dark, cold, sharp. Glass. I didn't think. I slammed it forward right into its gut. He reeled back, gurgling, his hands flying to the wound. Blood poured hot over my fingers. I stared down at it in shock, panting, watching it soak into the floor. The creature staggered and fell backwards, coughing, wet and raw. Then I saw the creature for what it really was. He was just a man. A man I knew. The school janitor. Mr. Harrow. I froze. My stomach turned. He wasn't a monster in the way we had imagined as kids, claws and fangs and shadow limbs, but he was something worse. He was real. He had been around us for years. I stumbled away, half crawling, half running. My feet barely touched the ground as I scrambled up the basement steps and out into the open air, my skin slick with sweat and blood, chest heaving like I might throw up everything I'd ever been. I burst out the front door into the night and saw red and blue lights. Sheriff Barnes. My mom. She ran towards me, crying out my name, her arms wrapped around me, pulling me close, touching my face like she didn't believe I was real. "I've got you, baby. I've got you." I collapsed into her, sobbing, too weak to stand anymore. Paramedics rushed forward, gently prying me away from her, strapping me onto the gurney. My ears rang, my vision blurred at the edges, but before they closed the doors to the ambulance, I saw it. My mom, the sheriff, and 3 other parents from the neighborhood walking into the Langley house. No hesitation, no questions, just purpose. Like they already knew what they were going to do. Present day. Sunlight filtered softly through the curtains in the living room. It was one of those rare golden hours where everything felt still. Outside, the trees swayed lazily in the breeze. Inside, the house smelled like chamomile tea and old books. She was sitting in her favorite chair, a knitted blanket draped over her lap. Her eyes, usually cloudy and far away, were focused, present. "Hey," I said quietly as I came in. She looked up, and for once there was no confusion on her face, no vacant smile. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, like it was 2002 again and I had just come home from school. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. "You remember me today?" She gave me a small nod, her smile trembling. "I remember everything today." I knelt by her chair, trying not to let my voice crack. "Mom, there's something I've been needing to ask you for a long time." She didn't say anything, just reached out and took my hand in hers. "You remember that summer? You remember what happened to me, what he did? And after, when I got out of the Langley house, you were there, so was Sheriff Barnes, so were the other parents." She looked away then. Her fingers tightened slightly on mine. "I was a kid," I continued. "I didn't understand what was happening, but I saw it. You went back into that house. You did something, and I need to know what it was." Her eyes filled with tears, but she nodded again, slowly. "We followed your blood trail," she said softly. "I thought you were dead. I would have torn the walls apart with my own hands to find you." Her voice shook, but she kept going. "When we got to the basement, we saw what he really was, what he had been doing. All those pictures, the trophies, remains. The other parents saw their kids' faces in that room too, the ones who had gone missing, the ones we'd buried not knowing the truth." She swallowed, trembling. "There was no trial, no arrest, no justice system that could have made it right, so we made it right." I stared at her, my mouth dry. "He was humming," she said quietly. "Who?" "That man," she said. "When we found him in the basement, he was sitting there in the dark, humming a song like he didn't have a care in the world. Like what he'd done wasn't sitting in the walls, in the floorboards, in that freezer." She closed her eyes and began to hum. Soft, off-key, familiar. It froze my blood. "Mom," I said slowly, "that song, that's what you've been humming for years." She looked at me, startled for a second, then ashamed. I didn't realize. "What freezer?" I asked. Her voice grew hushed. There was a deep freezer in the corner, still running, still cold, that hummed. Probably something wrong with the fan or something, but it sounded like cicadas. You know, that summer sound. That loud buzzing hum that you can feel in your teeth. She shook her head, distant again. I opened it. I wish I hadn't. What was in it? She didn't answer right away. Things no one should have to see, she whispered. Things no child should end up like. I sat down beside her. She reached for my hand and held it tight. We didn't plan it, she said, but once we saw what he had done, what he was, we weren't people anymore. We were rage. Each of us, she said, took a turn, one by one. Some with fists, some with words, some with tools from the basement. Sheriff Barnes stood watch at the door. He didn't stop us, he just let it happen. What did you do? I asked. She looked at me for a long time, then with quiet finality, I waited till everyone was done, and then I lit the goddamn match. I felt the air leave my lungs. We watched him burn, she whispered. We made sure no one ever found what was left of him. Silence stretched between us, thick, heavy, but somehow not cold. For the first time in years, I saw the fire that used to live in my mother's eyes. The same fire I saw that night, the fire that burned down the house where the monster lived. She looked at me again and brushed my cheek. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you from him, but I made sure he could never hurt another child, not ever again. I buried my face into her lap and she stroked my hair like she used to, like I was her little boy, like she was still here. And for now, just for now, she was. My mother passed away on a Tuesday. It was quiet, peaceful. She was in her sleep, holding the crocheted blanket she had made the winter I was born. 1 minute she was breathing, the next she wasn't. I found her in bed, her face soft, like maybe in the end the memories had been kind to her. The funeral was a blur of flowers, hymns I didn't believe in, and too many people saying she's in a better place. I nodded, I thanked them. I didn't believe that either. But then I looked up from the casket and saw familiar faces, some I hadn't seen in years. Alex, Jules, Savannah, Josh. They'd all come dressed in black, their faces older but still so familiar, still carrying echoes of that summer. After the service, we ended up behind the cemetery, near the tall oak where the shadow stretched long. Josh pulled out a flask from his jacket like it was 2002 again and passed it around without a word. We toasted to my mom, to Cody, to Ty, to the ones we lost and the pieces we left behind. The silence between us said all the things we didn't know how to anymore. Then someone else walked up. His hair was longer now, and there was a scar just above his eyebrow that hadn't been there before, but the way he looked at me was the same. Warm, soft, knowing. The others excused themselves with half hugs and nods. I barely noticed them go. Bradley stood beside me, eyes on the grave. I'm sorry, he said. I know. He pulled something from his pocket and handed it to me. A photo. A Polaroid. Us at 16, blurry, shirtless in bed and grinning. I barely remembered. I kept this, he said. All these years. My throat tightened. Why? He shrugged. Because it was real. We stood there for a long time, the wind cutting through the trees. I felt the weight of the world press against my chest and then just slightly ease. I'm so tired, I said. Bradley looked at me. Then rest. I'm not going anywhere. And somehow I believed him. We didn't kiss, not yet. But he reached out and he took my hand, and it was enough. It was something. As we walked away from the grave, I looked back just one last time. The earth was fresh, the headstone plain. But I imagined her somewhere warm, maybe watching an old movie, sipping tea, laughing again. Monsters are real. I know that now. Some live in basements, some wear human skin, and some just slowly take the people you love, piece by piece, until you barely recognize them. But love's real too. And maybe in the end, that's what saves us from the dark. No, the way I just had to choke back tears because I wasn't expecting your mom to die. I wasn't ready for that. And the monster being like a real human person that you knew. Oh my God, like Dustin, stop. Justin, stop. Something I truly just love about your stories is that, first of all, the entire story is just captivating, but the plot twist is always exactly, it's like, it's something that I just could have never imagined. Something that I could have never guessed that. It takes such immense talent to be able to do that, because I feel like most of the time you're like, oh yeah, like there was a plot twist, but I kind of saw it coming. This and like the last story that I read from you, I'm like, my mind is blown, and then I just want to cry and I can't because I need to keep reading. Dustin, I am obsessed with you, and I am going to continue to be obsessed with you if you keep writing stories like this. This is amazing. I've been filming this video for an hour. My camera's gonna die, and I didn't even notice because I was so captivated by the story. God, Dustin, you're fucking amazing. But like I said, my camera's gonna die, so I gotta go. That's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any stories that you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. Dustin, thank you so much for continuing to share your stories with us. Like, this is just, oh, you're amazing. I love you. But I really gotta go because my camera's gonna die any second. I love you guys so, so, so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.